Good. This is kind of early for your normal
I know.
gatherings.
I know. But I figured it was the only time um I just figured I wanted to do something for East Coast people and like London, Europe
Yeah.
people.
Yep.
So it's hard taking all the time zones into
Yeah. Well, and
consideration.
like the coffee that you introduced at
Hmm.
like 9 a.m. on a Monday or something. So, good morning,
Good
Troy.
morning, Troy.
Good morning.
How are you?
I am fabulous, although it's
Early.
Friday morning and it was still dark at 7 a.m. because we haven't fallen back yet. It was still
Yeah.
pitch black outside. So now it's cloudy and dreary, but you know what I always say, there's sunshine out. There's just a few clouds in the way. You just gotta look.
Yeah, there's sunshine
Right.
somewhere, you know,
Mhm.
kind of like it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right?
Yes.
That's why
Yes.
there's Baileys in my coffee. No, just kidding.
No,
Ah,
I would be asleep. I would just be, yeah, that
Just
would not
kidding.
be a good
Yeah.
way to start my day.
No, same. I need the more caffeine, the better. So if you're up for it, I don't know how many people come today. I have an idea for Charlotte, and I wanted to show it to her real quick, Troy, and then we'll
yeah.
jump to questions. Um, I have decided there's going to be an email coming out later this morning from the community that my path to 100K course, I've had a bunch of interest in it. So I thought, okay, to hold people accountable and me accountable to re-recording all of these videos and lessons and action plans, making everything shorter to that way each lesson is less than an hour to listen to the lesson and do the work. Uh, I thought about having a weekly session and taking everybody through it together that wants to do it right now. Anybody who wants to do it in the future obviously will watch the recordings. So that email is going to come out today. I'm going to put it out to my list too. It might prompt some people to join the community as
And
well.
is this the speed one you did in August? Or
No,
okay,
that I don't know what I'm going to do with that content.
okay.
Um,
So this would be new to me.
Yeah, some of it was probably gone over in my growth intentions
Hmm.
calls,
Hmm.
but I would say it's modernized, more relevant for today's space with the online and the AI thing.
Cool.
Um, and there's some stuff that you already have,
Hmm.
so you can just not come to those, and it's one
Or
less.
hear it again and it'll sink in better.
Well, that too, but it's the action steps that matter. So you might have heard about my competitive intelligence, but you might have not taken the actions to know who your biggest competitor is, what questions are they answering, what can I answer that's different than them, and so on and so on. I think it's the taking action that really makes the biggest difference. All right, so let me show you who I just met. I'm going to show you his LinkedIn profile, and I think he's connected. I think he accepted yes, he did connect with me. So here's what he does, and I was researching him. So here's his profile. Um, he has a platform called CipherWorks, and basically it's a learning platform. Um, Here comes Nathan. So it's a learning platform that basically they hit duplicate on and they would make one for you. And it's a course catalog like you would not believe. So obviously you just get to pick the ones relevant for you. And Troy, this might work for you in the corporate, like to sell to corporations as well. So when I was doing my research, I went to the website, and here's the website. And immediately, of course, what do? I want to see the catalog, right? So let me find it. Course catalog. So I went to the course catalog, and did I do a search? I did do a search. There's compliance stuff, human resources stuff, computers, conservation, and I was just scrolling through here to see what is available. And I got to something, interpretation, professional development, and what else did I check? Hi, Nathan. I'm
Good
just showing
morning.
Charlotte something.
Sure, no worries.
And we want to see assessments, courses, learning paths, surveys. And here, this is what I saw. So this is a certificate course. It also gives CEUs. So if you were to give if you had this option for a hospital, a medical dental practice, even like a nursing company, I mean, the ideas were just flowing for me because of the CEU feature. That makes things more appealing to those industries. Same for you, Troy, and we can do a search and see what's available for you. I don't know how much this is because I haven't had my one-on-one with him yet.
So are these tools that people pay to use, or do they contribute training courses, or do you know anything about that?
I don't know if people contribute to this. What I believe is that you would pick the courses you wanted and they would duplicate the learning platform for your brand, your company, and then you have the rights to go out and sell those trainings as your own.
Okay.
And the attractive part of this, and again, I don't know how much it is, and it is geared for larger companies, so it might be pricey. But what was interesting for me, if these are the courses that they're offering and they've been CEU approved, that means that you could do a course, something similar to that, and get it CE approved in your state.
Okay.
And so far, CEs have to be approved on a state by state basis, which is super annoying.
Mm-hmm.
I did it in New Jersey. The process is easy, but if you had to do that for all 50 states to sell something online, it seems like a bit ridiculous. So with that in mind, that could make the price worth it. And their turnaround time is very quick. So conceivably, you could sell this as an option before you have it built.
Okay.
Okay. So
That's great.
if this platform cost you 3,000, well then somebody's paying you 50 or 100,000 to train all their employees and they pick these courses from you. In my mind, great, got you covered. It'll be about 3 weeks till you're all set up and
Yeah.
then you just go and buy it.
This is awesome.
Yeah. And he's such a cool guy. So
And
I
you're
have my
getting,
one-on-one with him next week.
I was going to say, have you already got that scheduled?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'll
because
follow up.
I just
Follow up.
knew immediately
Yeah.
that depending on the price,
Mm-hmm.
I had people.
Yes. Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And do you want the website to check out the courses? I'll copy it for you. And Craig, look through, Troy, look through the courses and see if there's anything that resonates with you that has CEs. I know there was a lot of stuff in the corrections, so
Yeah, I saw
sometimes
corrections in there.
correction applies to police and fire too. Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, what questions do you have for me today? What would you like to get into?
I know Charlotte came prepared with some questions because she said it on the call yesterday, so I will let her go first.
Okay.
Well, and I don't want to dominate the conversation, so I'll mention a couple of questions I have, and Suzanne, if you need to take those offline or have
Sure.
another discussion, that's fine.
Sure, your questions are always so valuable for other people too, so
Okay.
don't ever feel
Well,
like that.
and they're related to things you've taught us before.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna let my dog out of my office.
Sure.
I closed my office door. The two subjects, and you can kind of decide which one might be more relevant. One has to do with pricing structure. When we went through the upgrade your offer a couple weeks ago, you were talking about three different offers, and that they could build on each other. You sent me the screenshot of, I think, the exchange pricing model, of how, and so I've got that, but and I'm working on that now with ChatGPT. It's helping me. But what do I do as far as different size companies? So how do I apply the three different options with the fact that I might be working with 25 employees in one project or 200 employees in the other?
Well, I think what I liked about Exchange's chart,
And I couldn't find it yesterday. That's one reason I was going to check
I
with
can
you.
resend it to you
Okay.
if you want. One of the things I liked about their chart, and whenever, my coach John from there talks about pricing, he says to always give a range, from low to high. So each of his stages, the first stage is 5,000 to 25,000.
Okay.
So that's all depending on how many days you need me and how many people you have.
Oh.
So he's giving that budget range. And I like that personally because I feel as though, especially if you have the online training option with the CEs, that's going to be in the low range per person or per company. And you can do that and of course, I'll help you with the first couple proposals, but you can do that on a per company basis if your pricing structure has that range.
Okay. And is that something I would publish? Like, would I put that on my website, or is that wait till they ask?
Two schools of thought.
Yes.
If you're going to be the most expensive in your industry, or be more high touch, which I'm sure you're going to be.
That's my plan.
Then the theory is publish the pricing because anybody who can't afford you won't even
bother me. Okay. That's good. And then I don't have to have those discussions about, I get it. Each level.
And I'll just kind of jump in because my question is actually related to what Charlotte just asked. And that was with pricing structure, I had kind of the same thing. When I first came out with it, I have like a 4-hour class. It's an in-person class that I do with a limit of about 30 people because I really want them to interact as opposed to get lost in the crowd, and we do hands-on stuff. And I know that starting out, probably most of my clients are smaller businesses, and so I can't label a huge price tag on it, but at the same time, larger. So my solution to that was to charge on a per person basis. And I'll just be straight up. What I did was $97 a person, but there's a 10-person minimum. So you're paying at least $970 for the 4 hours. And then after 10 people, it's just another $97 per person. So that seemed to be a good way to do it. But now if I start looking at like larger corporations, that seems to be different from the way they do things. Do you like they seem to have like fixed prices, like you come in for a day and it's 5,000 or what have you. And so that was my struggle, is how do I, and I think it's very similar to what Charlotte was saying, is how do I maintain that where I'm not scaring off those small businesses, which are probably going to be a bulk of my clientele to begin with, but not sacrifice those whales.
Yeah, I would just do a per person price up to this many employees. And then after that, If it's over 100 employees, make an appointment for a custom quote. If it's over 500 employees, book a time here for a custom quote.
So you make it sound so simple.
No,
I know.
can I throw something out there too, Troy? 'Cause
This is why I wanted to ask the question, because it's like, yeah, duh.
Yeah. But no, I also want to go back to something you said, because I also want to keep my groups small.
Mhm.
So when Suzanne helped me with the first pass at this many months ago, before we kind of talked about offering different levels of services, she and I talked about we could do, trying to think how to summarize it quickly. Let's say you have 100 people. So in that pricing, you would do 3 different presentations. So it's not like you would do all 100 people in one presentation. So therefore, I was actually going to do the same seminar 3 different times or 4 different times, so that you could keep that intimacy in the smaller group, et cetera. That was part of what justified my price, being higher for a block of people. And I did mine by block, not by person. But you just, in terms of, if you want to keep it intimate, you could just offer multiple occurrences of the same presentation. So that's just one option that Suzanne and I had talked about several months ago.
So just so I understand it, so what you're saying then is charge a flat rate for each 4-hour block, and just say up to that many people. So,
well, and the way I
and
think she helped me structure it, and Suzanne, I hope you don't mind if I share what we talked about, that I feel comfortable with. She said it can get kind of sticky when you say you're going to have 50 people show up, but 46 show up or 53 show up, like those last minute adjustments. So I think, and I don't have it in front of me, but I think I did like pricing for 25 to 49 people, and then price from 50 to 74 people, and then 75 to 150. And then I broke it up into, assuming that I would do in the proposal would say, let's say for 100 employees, I would do up to 4 1-hour sessions, plus the manager's separate manager's track. So it was kind of, we could customize it, whether some of them were remote, we could do it, whether some of them were in person. That way you weren't offering just one seminar for all 100 people. So it was kind of like just doing multiple, and it would be redundant for you, but at the same time, your audience would get much better results, interaction, that kind of thing. So
yeah, and that's kind of the exact same place I was going with it. So, and both of you, they can tell me if I'm wrong in this. What do you think about? Because I like the idea of bracketing with the number of students. And since I have like a max of 30, because I agree with you, Charlotte, that was another sticking point for me, which was people are going to be like, well, you're charging me this many, and then only this many people showed up.
Mhm.
So I like the bracketing idea, and maybe just saying 1 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, regardless of how many people show up, and then I charge them for that max number of students.
Right.
Does that sound okay?
Yeah. Yeah. And if it's 30, and if it's going to be virtual. So whenever I do something that's virtual, it's up to 100 people, because that's what my Zoom allows. And well, if the company has 1,000 people, and this happened once, a company had 1,000 people to invite. I didn't want to do 10 sessions. So I said, no problem, but we'll have to use your corporate Zoom account. And so now, if they want the value that comes with the workshop, they have to put their information in the chat to get my bonuses, or scan this coupon, scan this QR code, and you'll get your bonuses from today's workshop. So if they use my Zoom account, I get everybody's information, but I didn't want to upgrade Zoom to hold 1,000 people, because they don't let you do it for just 1 month. So I just said, no problem. I'll have 10,000 people. I don't care. but we need to use your corporate Zoom account. Oh, you don't have that? Let's talk about what that looks like. And that just adds a fee to what you're doing. If they said we don't have one, I would have said, okay, no problem, I'll handle it. And I would have just upgraded my Zoom and tacked on that fee for the year of my Zoom, right? So, a lot of this is just thinking on your feet quickly when someone says, oh, Troy, we have 1,000 people. Okay, no problem. My rooms are max of 30 because we want vulnerability, interaction, engagement. So if you have 1,000 people, we're going to run X many workshops.
Yeah, excellent. And it's interesting because I just had a call. I don't know if I shared it with you, Suzanne, but my first corporate client was Dot Foods, which is like
Oh, yeah,
a
you did.
billion-dollar company and whatever. And so they had me come out to St. Louis. And I did training for all of their senior vice presidents, the president of the company, which I thought was just amazing. I'm like, little old me from the Chicago suburbs has the
Awesome.
president of this billion-dollar company in my class.
Yeah.
But they liked it. And so I've got a return phone call. Now they want to start doing middle management, which is hundreds of
Right.
individuals, and they were trying to work out the logistics. And so that's where I am right now is working on this. And I created a couple things, and I said, well, to make them, because they wanted a 2-hour presentation because they can't do the full 4-hour.
Mm-hmm.
And so I offered them to do a pre-recorded online asynchronous learning for the first 2 hours for some of the subject material. And that way, when I was in person for 2 hours, it was more hands-on interaction application. And then I'm trying to, and they said, can you do some of that via Zoom? If I said, well, I can do that hands-on interaction via Zoom. Now I need 20 people in the class. So not 30. So that was another way to kind of squeak the price out. And then I offered them, I said, on top of that, if you want a follow-up session for each of the classes, just like a month later, so they can ask any questions that they've encountered, $250 for a 1-hour session, and I'll be available to them.
I love
And then
it.
I don't know what you think about this, and you could tell me about my pricing structure on this, because I was really shooting in the dark. As an add-on upsell value, he seems to like it. We didn't talk about price. I said part of adult learning and retention is strengthening those neural pathways and having people remember things. So another additional add-on would be to send you on all the students who attend a monthly email with has like a 2 to 3 minute video just reviewing something from the class. And my thoughts are, I don't know about pricing on this. Should that be a per person? Because I was thinking like $12 a person, that's $1 an email for every month. But I don't know if a per person package for a corporation would be a good idea. That should just be a flat rate.
Just include that in your pricing. Just say it comes with this.
I love that idea, Troy. I'm going to steal that one. The follow-up with the tips, that's great.
And it just seems so easy because you put it in the CRM and it automatically sends it out as part of an automated workflow. So it's really no extra for me, but it's value for them.
Exactly. Other unique ways you could deliver that or add extra value to those participants, have a standing office hours appointment once a month that any of you, like for the next 10 years, anybody who's been in a class with Troy, there's an open office hours. And that could be something that's at the bottom of each of those emails. Need personal questions answered, need some extra help establishing these routines or whatever. Here's my monthly open office hours. And
not even just for that company, just for anybody who's taking the training, because then I only have to do it once per month. Correct. But I'm getting paid by you're brilliant. You should do this for a living.
I know, right? Trust me, this is why I give away my best ideas, because I had too many of them for myself. The other thing you could do for class members is a WhatsApp group. So my WhatsApp groups have been very popular over the years to just get a little motivational voice message from me. And now I'm doing like a private podcast instead, but it's been really, really helpful for me. Whenever I have something new, putting some people in a WhatsApp group and then talking every day about the process, it helped me so much clarify what I actually do in my daily routine, in my business, my outreach, how I pick people, how I talk to people. Because people would ask, "Oh, Sue, how do you do that?" Oh, I don't know. I didn't. I didn't know until I offered to teach other people it.
So how does that look for you, Suzanne, when you do the WhatsApp group?
Mhm.
Is that like a 30-day thing that you do for them after a training,
Sometimes.
like for a period of 30 days?
Yeah.
And then is the WhatsApp a subscription that you have to pay for, or is that free?
You can do it any way you want. If I do a group coaching program, I make a WhatsApp group for everybody in that program and I add them. So if we do this path to 100K group, everybody will be in a WhatsApp group. That way, if you have questions, you can send me a voicemail. I'd rather hear your voice asking me a question, and I'd rather you hear mine answering you rather than typing it. Plus, you can
Okay.
do it on the go. I can be at the grocery store and answer somebody's questions. I could be out for my walk and answer questions. And it's efficient and it's not tied to the computer. It's right on my phone.
Right.
Um, and then my one-on-one clients all have a private thread with me for exactly the same thing.
Gotcha. And it doesn't get overwhelming. You don't get inundated with the messages.
Mm-mm.
Awesome.
No, and um, there's a desktop application for WhatsApp as well. And here's what it looks like. So this is open on my other monitor and it just sits here all day. And the cool part is um, here's Charlotte's message. I can easily just click on this microphone. Hey, Charlotte, sending you a message. So happy that you were on office hours today. Thanks so much for being there and your insightful questions as always. And send. It takes 2 seconds to really stay in touch with people. And there's just something about people feeling that from you. And it's not
And
fake. It can't be fake. It has to be real.
And I was going to say, having the privilege of having some of this communication with her one-on-one, I'm very careful about what I send her. So in other words, I'm not going to inundate her with 50 questions in a day. It's going to be something I've thought about or really am stuck. So I think, at least from my perspective, I would respect your time.
Well,
Tori,
thank you.
I wouldn't overwhelm you with questions that would waste your time.
Well, and the beautiful thing is, if somebody is overwhelming me with questions or whatever, you don't have to answer right away. And my promise isn't immediate. It's within 24 hours, I'll get back to you with an answer.
Right. And do you just include that in the price as a value add, or is that an upsell?
Mhm. No, my clients are always surprised that they get that. So,
Oh, you don't even advertise it. You just give
no.
it to them and then, oh.
Mhm. Yeah,
I
here's
think that's
your education
interesting
channel.
because I forget who it was on one of your calls that I was watching or listening to, talking about the formula of value is delivery over expectations.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think what you just described speaks directly to that because they have certain expectations and all of a sudden, oh, they get something else that you
Yeah.
deliver and that increases the value. So
Yeah.
hey, I'm
Yeah.
learning. I catch on. Monkeys catch on faster
I
than
know
me, but
you
I
do.
eventually get there.
You do. You're smarter than the average bear. My dad used to say, um, Suzanne, remember, you're quicker on the uptake than most of your friends. So be patient, which I was never patient until I learned to be patient. Um, And I will say, like, one of my clients messaged me yesterday, didn't get it till this morning because of different time zones. And somebody was pitching him something. And he's like, "Do I need this?" And I was like, "Absolutely not. One of my other clients has that and has been paying for it since January and has gotten nothing from it." And he was like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." So it's things like that that I want people to feel comfortable using my 15 years experience and my awesome BS meter. Use it. And if you're here in this community, use that to your advantage. That's one of the selling features of being in this community, not just great people, but great people who have moved past all that shiny object syndrome in the online space.
There's a lot of it.
I know.
So anyway, I'm sorry, Charlotte. I know I jumped in on that, and I hope I didn't take away, but go right ahead.
No,
Thank
no.
you.
I mean, she gave me the perspective that that's where the range comes in. The range isn't because you're offering different products than that.
Mhm.
It's you're offering it to different numbers of people. So that makes sense. And I'm sure I will send it to you soon just to say, hey,
Okay, I
we
put a
did that.
note here to resend you
Thank you.
the exchange chart.
Okay.
And I'm trying to remember the other person I know who does consulting with companies, and his pricing chart is very, very similar.
Hmm.
This many employees, this to this, and you get this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
The next price jump up is only a little bit more employees. Like, so it's kind of like that range kind of moves into the next range, but
Mm-hmm.
you get a couple more things.
Okay.
So somebody might want that middle one for even less numbers. But
Okay.
it kind of lets them know, okay, it's this price range up to 100 employees. And from 100 to 250, you get this. And then maybe there's a couple add-ons.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, if you want the WhatsApp channel, oh, if you want the monthly office
And
hours.
I love Troy's idea about the extra, like the extra little video, because that does another thing. You're staying in front of them. That's just another one of those touch points.
Which, we're all about building relationships with our customers. Never think short term with a company. And that I just wrote that down for you, Troy, that the people who are in the room with you, the C-suite, make sure you connect with them on LinkedIn. If they're not active on LinkedIn, not a big deal. But if they are, make sure you're connected with them. Send a couple messages back and forth, like, "Thank you so much for attending." Uh, Give them a compliment on their content. And then once they respond and interact with you, "Hey, would you mind leaving me a recommendation here on LinkedIn?" Boom, and send that to them.
That's a great idea. And I've already joined on with Tom's Engage Pro, so
Wonderful.
I could plug him into that. So
Wonderful. Wonderful. Tom's going to be dropping some workshops for us in the Idea Lab. I'm doing the same in his school community for referrals. I highly recommend his referral community. I can't remember how much it is. It's either 67 or 97 a month, but my members are going to get extra if they join his membership. So I've learned everything I know about referrals, networking from Daniel Andrews, and referrals from Tom. Just the way to keep track of people, the way to, and I use Engage Pro for my 50 inner circle people, but I also keep track of them with an AI tool on LinkedIn. And so that kind of method of keeping track of people on LinkedIn, that'll be in that course when we get to social media.
awesome.
All right, what else?
Yeah, I'm in Tom's free community right now.
Okay. That should be enough for you for now. I would wait to see what he's going to give the Idea Lab. He said he's going to give one of his paid programs to the Idea Lab. So let's wait and see what it is.
Yeah.
I do have another question, Troy.
Sure.
Do you have any follow-ups about the prices and that kind of stuff?
No, I'm still, I'll struggle with it, and I'll probably pop back into one of these office hours or one of our conversations somewhere, and Suzanne will be like, "Oh, here's Troy with that darn pricing
No,
question
listen,
again." But
when it's time to send a proposal, ping me, on WhatsApp. Troy, if you don't have a channel on WhatsApp, I'll give you one, and just say, let me know when I can grab 5 minutes to go over this proposal. I guarantee you're not thinking of something and you're undervaluing. Not the most important, ask them if they have a budget for this training. I
yeah,
lost
and
skill because I was too cheap one time. I learned how.
yeah, you are right there with me, and I tell you, I struggled on how much that whole trading time for money and hourly wage and breaking out of that. And for me, and I know it's small potatoes, it was kind of shooting for the moon for that $97 a student, because it's like $1,000 for a 4-hour class, and I'm like, oh my God, I mean, that's just insane.
Mhm.
But after I did my keynotes presentation, I actually had a library, didn't even question it, and I got it.
Yeah.
And then the next test came through my nurture email sequence. Another library reached out, and they were saying, do you have any flexibility on pricing? And that's where I was like, you know what? Like, gently said it, but I'm like, I can't, because basically my thoughts were, you all talk to each other, and once I start saying I give it a different rate,
Yeah.
I go
You
down.
can't.
It's a race to the
You
bottom.
can't.
And so what I negotiated was, I said, well, I certainly respect that, but what I can do is the keynote that you saw, I'm willing to come in and give that to your staff, not training, but just a 1-hour keynote, and I'll do that for $500. And they were like, done. So
Awesome.
that was huge for me. I was like, wow, I
Well,
know others are.
and I would say, I have some language around when you're connecting with people, and you hear that they could be a good fit for your training, and you want to open that door to a relationship with this company for something small, like you just said, I'll deliver this keynote talk for $500, and as soon as they hear that, they're going to want more, especially if you grab feedback from the people in real time. Have them fill out a little survey, 3 questions, and you have them do that during the keynote if it's virtual. If it's in person, you share a QR code on your slide. I would love your feedback on today's presentation. And basically, it's 3 questions. And then at the bottom, a checkbox. Would you like to be added to my email list? Check yes or no. And then you're building relationships with individuals as well. And if somebody has a company that's larger size, here's the verbiage that I personally use that has gotten me in front of huge companies for free, but resulted in paid engagements after that. So I wrote it down, put it in the member area. My understanding is your audience, Troy, at your company is really interested in blank, and they would benefit from a training or a talk that would get them to overcome that or solve that or whatever. Is that correct? They say yes. That being the case, my teachings focus on exactly that. Now, I'm going to community founders with this. My teachings focus on building connection, building community, and stepping into your unique personality to attract more people to you. Would that be of interest to your members? They, of course, say yes, because they don't do anything like that. I already know that because of my research. So I already know that I could solve a problem. I just need to make them aware of the problem. And they say typically, um, do you have any interest in exploring ways I could present that to your tribe, your audience, your company? And if they say yes, oh, I'd love to hear more about that. You say, typically, I get hired for this. Do you have a budget? Typically, I get hired for this. You know, I didn't jump on this call today, Charlotte, to sell you my thing, but this is what I get paid to do. Do you have a budget for this? And if they say no, here's what I'm willing to do. Is there a way I could let your audience know about what I do through this talk or this presentation? And if they say yes, wonderful. Then I would be willing to consider reducing or eliminating my fee if I'm allowed to come to your group. Obviously, it's not going to be an hour-long sales pitch. It's going to be for you and your community and make you look wonderful. But at the end, I let them know how they can stay in touch with me and learn more. Perfect. Thank you so much, Suzanne. So for any group that's over 500 people, I'm totally willing to show up one time for free. But the wording it like that makes them feel like it's more valuable. It's not just me saying, hey, you want me to come and present to your group? No, way more valuable when it's presented like that.
Right, because you show an understanding of their challenges and that what you have can potentially solve those challenges. So there's value for them.
Right. So it's all really about slowing down those conversations, which I was not good at. Like, I was not, this was totally learned on my part. It's why I write these things down, because before I get on the call, I look at this page and I review. Okay, so I want to understand their audience. I want to make sure that they would benefit from this, or they're struggling with that. Confirm the problem first. If they don't have that problem, I'm not moving forward.
Right.
And it's just been, I think, a more intentional approach to every conversation. You know, on my calendar today, I have an appointment with somebody for 30 minutes, and I've already researched him. I kind of know who he is. And I put down on my piece of paper his name on it, 3 best outcomes of the call. I present to his group. Awesome. Thumbs up. Win for both of us. Second, he becomes a member of my community because he's got a ton of people and he's a good referral. He's a super connector, really great guy. That would be a second win from the call. Third win, he just gets massive value from our conversation and we get a little closer connected. So I already know that that's my intention for the call. Learn about him, learn about his community, be of value to him. And if it ends up, you know, going down the route of me presenting to his group, awesome. If not, I don't care. It's all about just moving that relationship forward to the next without any attachment to it. And that's the hardest part.
You've given me really something to think about of having a strategy and desired outcomes before a call. I have not done that.
Okay, I didn't either. And this only started for me in January, being intentional, because I had a sales coach and he looked at how many calls I was having, how many people I know, and he was like, look, you don't need to meet a single new person for your business. You have enough people and enough followers and enough lists that you have enough clients for the rest of your life. You need to get better at moving the relationship forward to the next stage. okay, teach me. And it
Wow.
wasn't hard, but I will say it's more intentional than I had ever been in the past.
That's amazing. And it's also, I don't want to say validating, but encouraging
Mm,
to see that somebody with your wealth,
mm.
those
We
types of
all
things.
we all have growth to do.
Still learning. And
Yeah.
still wants to learn. Yeah.
And hopefully learning so your learning path is faster. Like that's always been my dream to get paid to learn. And that frame in my mind makes my job fun, makes conversations fun, makes learning a new software fun. It makes, I figured out this morning over coffee how to send a personalized video to every single person on my list where I say their name.
Wow.
I, I'm speechless and I don't know if I'm going to use it or not because you can kind of tell it's not me. Well, I mean, it's me, but it's an AI, it's a clone of me.
Yeah.
And you can kind of tell. Now, if you didn't know me, you might not be able to tell. And I don't know how I feel about that. It's great that I can do it, but do I really want to invite 300 people at once, my community, and have it seem personal, but it's not?
Yeah. Oh,
I don't know how I feel about it yet. Of course, my assistant's like, just do it, just hit send. And I'm like, oh,
Well, but that kind of contradicts what we've been talking about as far as your LinkedIn, I mean, not your LinkedIn, about
Mhm.
LinkedIn bots. And is it the real person? Because you've encouraged us to let them know it's the real person behind typing the message kind of thing. So
Right.
I see your dilemma.
and I suspect just from the limited time that I've known you, Suzanne, that it seems that probably a big part of the struggle is the authenticity there.
Yeah.
Because I think that's one of the things that so many people in your community are attracted to is how genuine you are
Mhm.
and the authenticity and the quality of people that you bring to
Yeah.
the community. So
Yeah.
I think that's probably, it seems like that's where you're struggling with it.
It is. And if so Dorothy Martin, Dr. Dorothy Martin Neville is one of my mentors who hired me last year and then referred me to her mentor. I don't take it lightly that she's a member of that says a lot. If somebody who's mentoring me then says, I need to hire you. You need to do that for me. And I'm like,
Wow.
wow, okay. Well, my AI mentor, who is just ridiculous human, just joined. And I've been paying him for the last year. His Facebook group has 250,000 people in it, and he talks to me. That's how I met him. I was posting stuff and questions and prompts in his group, and he was like, I don't know who you are, but you want to have a conversation? And that's how I ended up hiring him. Out of 250,000 people, I was saying something smart enough that he noticed, and he was like, oh, okay, I need to talk to her.
You broke through the noise.
Yeah, which is a talent. I understand that. But I didn't do it on purpose with him. I did it because I was learning and I was interested and curious. And now he came to one of my events and said, I haven't seen anything like this quality. I want to join. I want not only support you, but I want to be a part of it.
Awesome.
I was like, okay. This is so confirming. And I think we can all get discouraged, right? Like, oh, am I doing the right thing? And you have to look for those confirmations that you're on the right path. And those communication courses, Charlotte, on that platform, I was like, allow that to confirm you're on the right path. Because if a platform is offering them for CE credits, it
Yeah.
means people are buying them.
Well, and I had a neat opportunity that I haven't had a chance to share with you. I helped do a presentation Wednesday at a local community college. It was in tandem with a woman who did some other teaching, but there were only 7 participants. These were professionals from companies in that area. 2 were HR managers. Most of them were managers, which I wasn't expecting. I would have provided more information ahead of time, but they were all confirming exactly what I keep saying is the generational thing and the attitudes of this and the attitudes of that. So that in itself was just like, yes, people really do acknowledge that, because I've been over here saying, yes, it's happening. But the people I'm talking to, nobody's raised their hand and said, yep, that's me. But hearing these students from this other just this other format, it was very, very affirming that I just need to start getting the message out to the right people in the right format. So, and I do have another question. I know we're wrapping up the hour. I'm working on a survey, and I think I've spoken about this before, to potentially use as a lead magnet, as a conversation starter. It's basically like a 10-question thing, mostly for managers, either HR managers or CEOs or business owners, just to kind of put it on their radar. Okay, am I seeing problems in these areas? And it's a little survey. Again, ChatGPT and I have worked on it, about grading things on a scale, scale of 1 to 5. My message gets clear all the way to the entry-level employees, or those kinds of things. I'd love to get feedback. Is that something that I should send to just a few people I met through your community for feedback, or is that something I should share in the Idea Lab for anybody who wants to give feedback? How would you?
Are you building it in Go High Level?
Shaft's working on it for me. I've actually hired him to do some of the things that have been on my do list that, according to Suzanne, I don't need to be working on personally. In other words, I don't need to learn how to do it. So he's working on that for me. And I told him I wanted to get some feedback from some peers to see if they thought it's a good, if the questions were good and that kind of stuff. So yes, he is building it for me.
Okay. I'm going to blow your mind right now how to get that quiz, or however he builds it, in front of some people who could hire you without selling yourself.
Okay.
It's called the article research theory.
Okay.
And basically, you're going to choose some companies who would be ideal fits for your offer, and you're going to message the CEO or email the CEO. I'm working on research in this area for an article I'm writing. Would you be willing to answer a few questions to help me with that research? And of course, if you have a quote or something to share, I would quote you in the article. And you can let them know it's a year-long research study that you're working on, blah, blah, blah. And they will want to take part in it. And as soon as they take part in it, you have an in for a conversation. And what happened when I did this, I got 7 clients in the financial advisor space. I reached out to every financial advisor that I was connected with, and I said, I'm working on an article and research about financial advisors and how they network and how they connect with people and get clients. Would you be interested in answering a few questions?
So I would say I'm working on an article about intergenerational communication within companies.
Article or research? I'm
Okay.
doing research
Yeah, okay.
for an upcoming book, for an upcoming article, however you want to, whatever's true has to be true.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, maybe it is research for your
Mm-hmm.
book. You could use this information.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what happened, I sent it to about 50
Okay.
financial advisors.
Okay.
I got 20 or 30 responses right
Okay.
on LinkedIn.
Okay.
I got some emails
These are people you're connected with or people you were reaching out to?
already connected,
Okay.
already connected. And the financial advisor that I knew from high school, he messaged me back and he said, I'm just going to call you and give you my answers. I was like, we ended up talking and he's like, how is this related to what you do? And I said, well, I've noticed that financial advisors, much like business coaches, much like accountants, they all market themselves the same way. They all meet people
Mm-hmm.
the same way. They're not using modern tools and new strategies. So I've been working with a lot of financial advisors, and I wanted to hear what the struggles were with the
Mm-hmm.
masses so that I could craft my offers and my information to be more helpful for them. And he was like, I freaking need your help. And I was like,
Salivating.
well, that was the point of the whole
Yes.
thing, was just to get a conversation started with people
Okay.
who could need me.
Okay. So I need to work on the survey. Again, get some feedback.
Yeah.
But I also need to connect with some more leaders. I've been doing that, like some of the people that, anyway,
Yeah, that's good.
people are starting to connect.
Yeah.
So some of those leaders. So this is awesome. Okay. And I can ask you for more direction as I get
Sure.
into this. This is great. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
So
that'll be great research for you
back
anyway.
to those questions though, should I just reach out to some people that I've personally connected
Mhm.
with through your lab? I mean, through the Idea Lab in your group and
If they
say,
have a company, yeah.
okay,
If they have a
okay,
company, make sure that they could be, they'll have enough information
gotcha.
to, so it has to be somebody who has people.
Okay. And then
My
in that
sales
case,
coach might be good
sorry.
for that because he's in touch with companies. He doesn't have a company, but he's in touch with companies.
And I could go back. This would be a good way. I'm thinking out loud here. I did my initial research about a year and a half with some casual interviews of like 30 people I just knew in different areas. I've never asked them for anything except their opinions about things. I can circle back 18 months later and say, okay, because of our initial conversations, it's
Thank you
led
so
me to,
much for
yes,
that initial
yes,
conversation. It meant
yes,
so much to me. And
yes,
it geared my research for a
yes,
book next year. Would you
yes,
like to contribute?
yes.
Something like that.
So that's a great way for me to go back to those initial
Yeah.
people, some of whom I haven't talked to in that long.
Yeah.
Awesome idea. Okay. Well, I will do that then. I will get that, send it to some individuals, but I appreciate your point about making sure they're in the companies. So,
Yes. And make sure that if we're going to use it for this, make
yeah.
sure the last slide of the quiz
Mm-hmm.
has a button or a checkbox or something that says, would you like to talk to me about your communication issues?
Okay.
So
Is
that
this
even
something
though you're
Shaft can help
asking for
me?
what?
Yeah. Is this something Shaft can help me design
Yeah.
and figure out how to
Yeah.
do
He would
that?
just make sure the last page has a call to action, doesn't
Okay.
just leave them.
Great.
Hey,
See,
Charlotte, I know
Corey,
that Suzanne said,
go ahead.
I know Suzanne said the people that you want to give it to are people that know companies or organizations.
Mhm.
As fate would have it, on the community call yesterday, she
Mhm.
put me in a room with John Javier,
Mhm.
and I got in a conversation with him. 50% of his business comes from other marketing agencies, not individuals. So you
Wow.
may want to hook up with him, John Javier.
And interestingly enough, I checked LinkedIn real quickly this morning and didn't have time to interact. He had looked at my profile. So I can go back and, reach out to him. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, we come to Suzanne with a question that is like this big, and then
Mhm.
out of it grows this
Amazing.
potential. It is amazing. Thank
It
you.
is amazing. And we'll try to get John Javier in the community because he owns a virtual assistant agency. He's very
Ah,
well connected, super nice guy.
yeah.
I have another virtual assistant agency who does like courses and graphics and all of that stuff based in the Philippines. He's probably going to join as
Okay.
well. So these people, because their English is good, they have all of these connections. You know,
Mm.
like my assistant's still working on his English.
Mhm.
So he doesn't have like 60 American clients that he could introduce us to yet.
Ah, okay.
But when you meet somebody like Shaf, who
Yeah.
has a list of American clients,
Yeah.
that's why he stood out
Yeah.
to me because of
Yeah.
what he's doing.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Well,
Well,
thank
and when you quit recording, I want to just tell Troy a couple of things.